What if the real problem isn't life, but you? What if everything that goes wrong for you is a direct consequence of how you think and act? The truth is harsh. Many people live trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage, believing the world is against them, when in reality, they're the ones sabotaging everything. But there is a way out, a way to make everything always go right for you. Yes, you heard that right. I'm not selling you dreams. I'm talking about an ancient mindset that can change everything, if you're brave enough to adopt it. This isn't just another shallow self-help video or a list of empty tips to give you a quick boost. Here, we're going to confront the root of your suffering, those mental patterns dragging you down and that, unless you change them, will keep ruining every step you take. Today, you're going to learn 10 Stoic lessons that can reprogram your mind from the ground up. Teachings that have survived for centuries not because they sound good, but because they work. If you're truly tired of feeling like nothing ever goes right, and you're ready to take responsibility, this video is for you. Don't expect comfort, expect transformation. Are you ready? Before we begin, let me tell you Martina's story, because if anyone ever thought everything was going wrong, it was her. Martina was 28, had a temporary contract at a company where no one even knew her name, lived in a tiny apartment where you could hear every sneeze from the neighbor, and had a heart that still didn't know how to survive a betrayal. She was at that weird moment in life where you're not sure if you're just starting or if you've already failed. And just when she thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. One Friday morning, without warning, she got called into the boss's office. Not for a promotion, for a layoff. Sorry, it's nothing personal. Sure, it never is. They handed her a box and gave her 10 minutes to clear out her desk. No one said a word, no goodbye. Just silence, as if she had never been there. She walked out holding the box, with a shattered resume in her soul, and one single thought repeating in her head, "This always happens to me. Everything I try just goes wrong." That night she came back to her apartment, opened a bottle of cheap wine, and lay down on the floor. Literally on the floor. She didn't even want the couch, and she stayed there staring at the ceiling, wondering if that moment they always talk about, when things start to get better, was ever going to come. Because that's what they always say, right? That once you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. But days passed and nothing went up. Only down. Rent went up. Her bank account went down. Her motivation vanished. Until one afternoon, while she was half-heartedly job hunting, she stumbled upon an interview with a philosopher talking about Marcus Aurelius, and a phrase hit her like a slap in the face. "What stands in the way becomes the way." Martina froze. What do you mean the obstacle is the way? How can being laid off, abandoned, alone, be part of something good? She didn't fully understand it. But something inside her stirred. She closed the laptop, and the next day, instead of applying to more jobs where she knew she didn't fit, she did something she had never done before. She wrote. Not for money, not to publish. She wrote her story, just to get it out, and then she wrote another, and another. Within 2 weeks, she had a blog. In a month, a small community. In 3, someone invited her to collaborate on a project. In 6, she was making a living by writing about what used to break her. It wasn't a miracle. It was a shift. One that only happened when she stopped thinking, "This is a curse," and started asking, "What if this is exactly what had to happen to wake me up?" And here's the surprising part. Everything she thought was dragging her down was actually pointing her in a new direction. She wasn't fired. She was redirected. She wasn't abandoned. She was freed. She wasn't rejected. She was pushed toward something more honest, more hers. That, my friend, is Stoicism. It's not resignation. It's not saying, "This is just how it is." It's looking life in the eye even when it spits at you and saying, "I'm going to use this too." Marcus Aurelius didn't speak from theory. He spoke from war, from plague, from betrayal, from pain. And even so, he wrote, "If it's on your path, it's because you can handle it. And if you can handle it, then it's helping you." Martina didn't need luck. She needed perspective. And so do you. Because maybe right now you feel like everything is going wrong, like there's no way to win. But here's the truth no one tells you. It's not that the universe is against you. It's that you haven't yet learned to see the obstacle as the doorway, and you already have the key. The question is, are you going to open it, or are you still waiting for the door to disappear on its own? Before we continue, if this content is bringing you value, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to access unique perks. And tell us in the comments, what does it mean to you to start acting as if everything always goes right? Or just write, I'm a Stoic. From today on, I let my mindset lead the way. 1. Everything happens for a reason. Your life isn't a straight line or a clear, open road. It's a novel being written in the dark, in invisible ink, chapter by chapter. And the strange thing is, you can only read one page at a time. There are days when the plot makes no sense, when everything seems to be falling apart and it feels like the author has forgotten about you. Chapter 6. Confusion, failure, loss, frustration. And just when you're about to close the book and give up, Chapter 7 shows up. The one where you realize why everything before had to happen. The one where you find out it wasn't the end, but the beginning of something much bigger. But of course, only those who stay get to see that. Those who choose to keep reading, even when it feels like the story is written against them. Because giving up before the turning point, my friend, is like walking out of a movie right before the climax. You'll never know you were one step away from it all making sense. The Stoics had a name for this way of seeing life. They called it amor fati, love your fate. No, it's not about cheering on the hard times or pretending everything's fine. It's something more powerful. It's learning to use everything that happens, even the hardest things, as part of the plan. Not giving in, but turning everything into a tool. And within that mindset fits one of Marcus Aurelius's most brutal and useful phrases. What stands in the way becomes the way. That thing you think is a detour? It might be the shortcut to your growth. And that thing you see as the end? It could be the exact push you needed to finally start for real. And this isn't theory, you've already seen it in Martina's story. Nothing she went through made sense, until she used it as fuel. And once she started acting like everything was going right for her, her life aligned on its own. Because she changed what was inside, and that changes everything. Now imagine Marcus Aurelius in today's world. He's in a modern office with his laptop, his headphones, and his coffee mug. He gets an email. His project's been rejected. Again, anyone else might break down, but not him. He pours himself another coffee, sits calmly, and types in his digital journal. Perfect. Now I can revise it, improve it, and send it again. This is all part of the process. Because acting like everything always goes right for you isn't delusion. It's a choice of focus. A way of living that keeps you moving, even when the ground gets steep. And you, how do you react when you get bad news? When something doesn't go as planned? When life keeps tripping you up? Because this is the line that separates those who keep repeating frustration from those who break the cycle. As Alex Hormozy says, life gives you tests before it gives you rewards. Sometimes chaos is the filter that separates those who endure from those who quit. Do you see it now? You won't always understand why something is happening right away, but if you act like it has a purpose, you'll start to see how it fits into your growth. And you're probably wondering, how do you train that mindset? First, next time something goes wrong, instead of spiraling, ask just one question. What is this teaching me? Replacing reaction with reflection puts you above the situation. Second, make a list of all those times when something went wrong, and then turned out to be something good. I promise you have more examples than you think. That list will remind you, this too will pass, and maybe for the better. Third, repeat one phrase to yourself when it feels like everything's against you. This is also part of the plan. It doesn't matter if you can't see how it fits yet. What matters is that you keep moving, because maybe right now you're stuck in your darkest chapter. But don't forget this. Chapter 7 is closer than you think. And maybe the biggest mistake of your life wasn't what happened to you, but not trusting that it was opening a path. So start acting like everything is already going right for you. Because maybe it already is. 2. What you think, you create. Guard your mind, because from it are born your thoughts, and from your thoughts your actions, wrote Marcus Aurelius. It wasn't poetry. It was a strategy for life. Because your mind, my friend, is not a passive observer of the world. It's an active filter. You don't see things as they are, you see them as you are, and if your mind is full of complaints, fear, or cynicism, guess what you're going to find in every corner of your day? Your thoughts aren't just decoration. Picture them as little architects inside your head, working non-stop, day and night. Each one has blueprints, tools, materials, and they follow your every command. If you tell yourself, "This is too much for me," one of them drives a nail into your confidence. Another sets a brick right in the doorway of an opportunity. If you think, "This will probably go wrong," they build corridors that steer you away from even trying. If you say, "I'm not good at this," they raise a wall between you and your progress. And the worst part? They work silently. You don't see them, but they're constantly building structures inside you. Structures that affect everything. How you walk into an interview, how you speak on a first date, how you look in the mirror, how you face Monday morning. Until one day, you want to move forward, improve, take a step, and you realize you've built an invisible wall around yourself. A wall no one else sees, but you feel it. It weighs on your shoulders. It traps you in a small version of who you really are. And if you do nothing, those same architects will keep building a space so limited you won't even know whether the problem is out there or within you. Now picture this. You're about to walk into a meeting where you have to speak in public. Your heart starts racing, and your mind goes, "I'm going to mess up. I'll forget everything. They're going to notice how nervous I am." What do you think happens? Exactly that. Not because you're unlucky, but because your thinking shapes the ground you stand on. Now flip the script. You walk in with another phrase in your head. "I'm prepared. I can bring value. I might be nervous, but that doesn't stop me from giving my best." Feel the difference? No, it doesn't magically change reality, but it changes your stance, and that influences everything. Entrepreneur and speaker Marie Forleo puts it bluntly. Your thoughts create your emotions create your actions, and your actions create your life. What does that mean? That if you want to start acting like everything's going to work out, you have to think like someone things work out for. It's not fake confidence, it's mental training. So then, what can you do to start building from your mind? First, at the start of your day, try this. Choose 3 things you want to do today, and change the way you say them to yourself. Instead of thinking, "Hope I have time to hit the gym," say, "I'm going to train hard and feel better afterward." Don't say, "Let's see if I can focus and finish this." Say, "I'm going to lock in and complete this with pride." It might seem silly, but that tiny shift changes your energy. You'll act with more intent because your mind is already aligned with the outcome you want. Second, anytime something doesn't go your way, catch that first thought, because it's usually the most toxic. If you say, "I'm such a mess," you've already shut the door to learning. Instead say, "I'm learning how to do this better." You mess up a recipe. "I'm getting better at cooking." You lose a client. "I'm understanding what people really need." It's not about sugarcoating mistakes. It's about turning them into steps forward. Third, identify that internal phrase that always sabotages you. We all have one. Maybe it's, "This isn't for me," or "I never finish anything," or "I'll probably fail again." Write it down, look it in the face, and then rewrite it, flip it, make it your antidote. Because if you don't rewrite that phrase, it will keep directing your story from the shadows. Remember this, your thoughts don't just shape what you see, they shape what you do, and what you do shapes who you become. So please don't leave your mind unattended, because if you don't take care of it, it'll convince you the problem is out there, that the world is against you, that you'll never move forward. And you and I both know that's not true, Because when you start thinking like someone everything's going to go right for, you start moving with more calm, more focus, more clarity, and that's when things really start to go well. Not because of luck, but because of direction. And now I want to hear from you. What thought are you ready to tear down today? What's that inner phrase you won't let keep building limits in your life? Share it in the comments. Because you're not alone here. This community is full of people who, like you, have decided to think differently in order to live differently. And together, we're redrawing the blueprint from the ground up. 3. Make your own luck. I have a neighbor who's been teaching me lessons without even trying. His name is Michael. He's got soil-stained hands and a patience that's almost unsettling. For years, I've watched him tend to a small patch of land behind his house. Nothing big, nothing impressive. Just a rough piece of earth that seemed like it would never yield anything. Sometimes I'd see him heading out before sunrise, beanie pulled low, gloves on, with that look of someone who does what needs to be done, even when they don't feel like it. For a long time, nothing grew there. He planted, watered, cared for it, and nothing. I'd walk by and ask, "When is this going to start working?" He'd smile calmly and say, "It already is, even if you can't see it." I thought he was out of his mind, but one year, after a particularly rainy spring, everything burst into life. His little patch was covered in green. It was like the land had just been waiting for the right moment. He started harvesting tomatoes, zucchini, basil, even flowers. Everyone in the neighborhood came to see, and more than a few people, including someone in my family, said the same thing. "Man, Michael's so lucky." And I thought, lucky? No, this man has been getting up before everyone else for years, working in silence, not showing off his progress, not complaining. That wasn't luck. It was planting. It was consistency. It was faith in something you can't see right away. That's how the Stoics saw life. They didn't sit around waiting for the universe to magically align in their favor. They did their part. And when opportunity came, they were ready. Seneca put it plainly. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And if he were alive today, he'd probably be sick of seeing people complain online that others always have it easier while doing nothing to change their own situation. Think about it. There are people who want to win the lottery, but never buy a ticket. Or worse, don't even learn how the game works. There are people who want a new job but haven't sent out a resume in months, who want to live off their talent but never share it, who dream of more freedom but stay stuck in habits that keep them trapped. And then, when someone else actually makes it, they say, "So lucky." Really? Was it luck? Maybe this sounds familiar. Maybe you've been dreaming for months about doing work you actually love. You think about it all the time. You see yourself doing it, walking away from what no longer fulfills you. But you're not learning. You're not practicing. You're not showing what you can do. You're not moving. And without even realizing it, you start to believe the problem is out there, that no one's giving you a chance, that it's all about connections or luck. My friend, if you're going to act like everything's going to work out, you can't just sit still. You have to get ready for that moment when the opportunity shows up. Because it will show up. The key is to not meet it empty-handed. And for that, you've got to provoke it. This isn't blind faith. It's moving like someone who knows their moment is coming. And that when it comes, they'll deserve it. What can you do to start building that kind of luck? First, do one small thing every day that brings you closer to what you want. Just one. An email sent, a video filmed, a connection reactivated. One more minute of practice. You don't need results yet. You just need motion. Second, stay in what we might call seed mode. What does that mean? That you're not expecting everything to bloom tomorrow. You're planting, and that's enough. Whoever plants with intention today harvests with gratitude tomorrow. Third, ask yourself this question once a week. Am I doing something that makes me luckier? Set a reminder with that message. Let it pop up, because if you didn't do anything different that week, don't expect anything different to happen. And one more thing, showing up matters. Being visible every day, even in small ways, even if no one claps. Because, as Ali Abdal says, the biggest mistake is thinking you need to feel motivated or lucky. The trick is to show up every day. Luck is statistics. The more times you show up, the more likely it is to find you. So next time someone says, "You're so lucky," smile. But you'll know the truth. What looks like luck was actually choice. It was strategy. It was consistency. 4. Do it with or without motivation. There's something no one ever tells you seriously. If you're waiting to feel motivated to do what matters to you, you're going to be waiting a long time. Too long. Most people spend their lives waiting for that magical push, that spark, that perfect moment when everything aligns and suddenly they feel this overwhelming urge to work out, launch that project, write that book, or finally start changing. But that moment rarely comes, and when it does, it doesn't last. The Stoics knew this. No, they didn't sit around waiting for inspiration, they acted. Whether it was cold, whether their bodies hurt, whether they had 1,000 excuses not to. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you rise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Do you think he jumped out of bed every day full of enthusiasm? Ruling an empire in the middle of wars, plagues, betrayals? No, he just did what needed to be done. Because he understood that doing the right thing doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on who you are. Now think about this. You go to the gym only when you feel like it. How many times a month do you go? Maybe twice if you're lucky. But if you go even when you don't feel like it, 6 months later you've got results. And one day, you realize it doesn't matter anymore whether you're in the mood or not, because you've become the kind of person who does it anyway. And that changes everything. Funny thing is, we do act without motivation all the time, just not when it's for ourselves. You don't want to go to your friend's kid's birthday party, the one where you know no one and there are balloons everywhere. But you go. You don't want to take out the trash at night, but you do. You don't want to sit through that pointless work meeting. But there you are, smiling through it. You don't wait for motivation for any of that. But when it comes to you, to your health, your growth, your future, suddenly you need inspiration. Why? Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman from Stanford University explains it clearly. Motivation doesn't always come before action. Sometimes it comes after. Movement activates dopamine centers in the brain. In other words, if you start moving, even without wanting to, your brain starts to catch up, and that changes your state. What felt impossible at first becomes manageable, and eventually, even enjoyable. Picture this. You want to start taking care of your body, feel more energy, train consistently. But every day it's the same. You wake up thinking, today's the day, but then work, surprises, messages, exhaustion. And again, you didn't make it. And you tell yourself, I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'll start next week. But that next week never comes. Now imagine something else. You wake up and act as if the day is already going to go well. As if you know you're going to have time, that you're going to train, that you're going to enjoy it. You're not faking it, you're choosing to believe it. So when that moment comes to decide whether you train or collapse on the couch, you don't overthink it. You just do it, because that's the version of you that you've decided to be. And that version doesn't negotiate with laziness. Here are a few tricks that will help. First, eliminate the thought. Don't analyze it. Don't ask yourself if you feel like it or if you should wait. Just do it. Put on your clothes, step out, move. Your body knows what to do even if your mind tries to sabotage it. Second trick, use this magic phrase when you're about to quit everything. 5 minutes. Just 5. Start. Move for 5 minutes. If you still want to stop after that, then stop. But most of the time, the hardest part was starting. And once you do, your energy shifts. Because the problem was never the effort, it was getting started. And third, don't break the chain for more than 1 day. 1 day off is fine. It happens to all of us. But 2 in a row, that's different. 2 becomes an excuse, a loss of control, a step backward. So make this deal with yourself. I can skip one day, but never two. Because if you act like your body is already changing, like your routine is already working, like your health is already a priority, you start behaving like someone who gets results. And in the end, you do. Not because of motivation, because of choice. Now I ask you, what's that thing you know you should do, and that you're going to do today, even if you don't feel like it? Drop it in the comments, because we're here to support each other, even on the tough days, especially on the tough days. 5. You can start over today. Liz Murray was 15 when her life completely fell apart. Her mother died of AIDS. Her father couldn't take care of her. And what had already been a difficult childhood turned into something brutal. Alone, homeless, broke, and without anyone to take responsibility for her. She spent nights in the New York subway, others in building entrances, and others in strangers' homes where they let her stay in exchange for silence. She was hungry, she was cold, and she had every reason in the world to give up. But one ordinary day, without anything special happening, without a miracle, she made a decision. To go back to school. Just that. She had no uniform, no books, no energy, but she went. That was her first act. It didn't change her life right then and there, but it was the beginning of a new path. What's most striking about her story isn't that she made it to Harvard. It's that every morning she chose to act like her past didn't define what she could build. She didn't wait for the perfect moment. She didn't need anyone to say, "Now you're allowed." She gave herself permission, and that's exactly what you need to do today. Epictetus said life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass, but about learning to dance in the rain. And that's what Liz did. She used her pain as fuel. Her story wasn't a chain, it was the ground she used to rise. And you, even if you're far from living something like that, can make the same choice today. Maybe you haven't slept on the streets, but maybe you've been stuck for too long in a routine that doesn't fulfill you. Maybe there's a part of you that wants to change direction, but you're too afraid to start over. Picture this. You've got a business, a family business that's been around forever, but it's not doing well. You know it. Every month is a silent struggle, a slow decline. And deep down, there's something else calling you. Maybe learning something new, maybe tech, maybe programming, something that's always sparked your curiosity. But fear paralyzes you. What if it doesn't work? What if I regret it? What if it's too late? So you wait, until next year, until January, until after the summer. But let me tell you something. The only thing you really need is to start today. Not with everything figured out, not with guarantees, just with one small action that breaks the pattern. Want a first step? Do something symbolic. Change your phone's wallpaper. Let it say, "New beginning." Take a different route to work, even if it takes longer. Set a morning alarm that says, "Today I start different." It might seem meaningless, but your brain reads the external as a message, and if you show it signs of a reset, it starts to adjust. Second tip, eliminate one phrase from your vocabulary for a week. It's too late. Every time you catch yourself saying it, replace it with, "I'm still on time." Because it's true. As long as you're breathing, you're on time. And third, write yourself a letter as if you were your future self, the one who did it, the one who dared to change direction. Thank yourself for not giving up. Read it when doubt creeps in, because that version of you already exists. It's just waiting for you to let them through. And the best part? You don't need it to be Monday, or a new year, or someone else's permission. You just need one act. Just one. Because the beauty of this path is that you can always return to it. You can always start over. And if you act like someone who can rebuild no matter where they're starting from, little by little, the world starts treating you that way too. So tell me, what are you going to do today, not tomorrow, to start your new chapter? 6. You have more than you think. We're surrounded by messages telling us we need more. More productivity, more tools, more followers, more motivation, more time, more recognition. And without realizing it, you start to believe you can't move forward because something's missing. But the truth is something else entirely. You already have much more than you think. Maybe you're not seeing it, maybe you're not using it, but it's there. Seneca wrote one of those lines that doesn't just make you think, it wakes you up. It's not that we have little, but that we desire too much. And he wasn't speaking from lack. He was one of the wealthiest men of his time. He had power, wealth, possessions, but also clarity. He knew that if you didn't learn to value what you have, you'd always feel like something's missing, even when you have everything. Think about this, my friend. You're watching this video right now with an internet connection, probably in a safe space, with 2 hands, 2 eyes, a beating heart, and more knowledge than you give yourself credit for. But you get frustrated because you don't have the latest laptop, or the perfect partner, or a house like the ones you see on Instagram. And while you're caught up in that constant comparison, the most important thing slips right past you. You already have a lot of what you need to move forward. You're just not using it yet. It's like having a toolbox at home, but not touching it because you don't have the newest hammer. Meanwhile, life is asking you to fix things, and you wait. Not because you can't, but because you've convinced yourself you're not ready yet, that it's not enough yet. But what if it already is? Jay Alderton, a fitness coach, says it straight. Most people don't need more resources. They need to use the ones they already have, without excuses. And he's absolutely right. Most of the time, it's not about missing something. It's about not valuing what you already have. The solution isn't to buy one more tool, take one more course, or wait for the perfect time. The solution is to take an honest look at your life right now, truly appreciate what's already there, and act like it's enough to build something great. So today, here's something practical for you. Make a list of your current resources, and I mean everything. Your knowledge, your skills, your contacts, your ability to learn, your free time, your energy, your personal story. Write it down, read it out loud, and then choose one, just one, and do something useful with it today. Record something, create something, talk to someone, share an idea. Take a step, any step, but do it with what you already have. Here's another exercise that might help. Every week, pick a specific goal and ask yourself, if I had to achieve this without buying anything new, how would I do it with what I've already got? Sometimes putting a creative limit on yourself wakes your mind up. You start connecting ideas, using forgotten tools, rediscovering talents you thought you'd lost. And most important of all, act like you're already enough. Like what you have is valuable. Because it is. You don't need anyone to confirm it. You just need to prove it through your actions. Because when you carry yourself like someone who has what it takes, the world starts responding to that level of energy. Maybe you don't need that new course, or the professional microphone, or to move to a new city. Maybe what you need is to stop underestimating what you already have in your hands. Because change doesn't start when you get more. It starts when you use what you already have. So now I ask you, what would happen if you stopped looking outward and started using everything as if you were already enough? Spoiler alert, you are. You have been all along. 7. Start even if it's not perfect. How many brilliant ideas have you left in the drawer because you didn't feel ready? How many times have you had something to say, to do, to show, but you held it back because it wasn't ready yet? Do you know the writer Brandon Sanderson? You've probably heard of him, or maybe you've even read one of his books. But what you might not know is that he wrote 13 full novels before publishing a single one. 13, and for years he didn't show them. Not because they weren't real stories crafted with care, but because he felt they still weren't good enough. He revised them, rewrote them, doubted himself. No one bought them. No one read them. Only he knew they existed. And still, he kept writing. Because he understood something most people forget. If you spend your whole life waiting for something to be perfect, you'll never bring it into the world. He decided to keep going anyway. As if one day he'd be published. As if, even though no one saw it yet, he was already becoming a writer. Today, Brandon Sanderson is one of the best-selling fantasy authors in the world. And what looks like overnight success is really a mountain of drafts, failed attempts, and version ones that were never perfect, but prepared him for when the moment came. That's what the Stoics preached over and over again. Imperfect action is worth more than perfect intention. Because while you're waiting for the perfect idea, the flawless plan, the right lighting, or the missing course, life is happening without you. Marcus Aurelius said what matters isn't theory, it's action. And he was right. Thinking is good. Doing changes everything. Matt D'Avella says it clearly. He started without doing things perfectly. He admits, most things that work started off ugly, but they started. And his first video proves it. Bad lighting, weak audio, basic editing. But it's there, because that rough first step was the one that broke the loop of waiting, and that video became the first of hundreds. Now imagine this, my friend. You want to message someone. You like them, you're interested, it excites you, but you don't know how to start. You open the chat, you type something, delete it, type again. Too short. Another try. Too intense. Again. No. Too cold. Days go by. You never send it, because you believe it's not perfect yet. And this is where I imagine Epictetus sitting next to you, watching your screen. With his injured leg, that firm gaze, and very little patience, he'd see you hesitate, revise, delete, and he'd say something like, "What are you doing?" Send the message. If you're waiting for the perfect line, all you're doing is decorating your fear. And he'd be right. Because a lot of the time, the reason we don't move forward is that we don't believe things can go well. But if you just do it, if you act as if the answer is already yes, as if everything is already on your side, it might be. Because things don't usually work out because they're perfect. They work out because finally you started. So, are you ready to begin, even if it's not perfect? Here are a few tips to help. First, accept this. Your version 1 is going to be messy, and that's okay. Accept it, own it, do it anyway. Second, set a timer to start. Don't give yourself a week, give yourself 30 minutes. Whatever you've got in that time, you release it. Because what matters most is not the quality, it's breaking the paralysis. And third, compete with who you were yesterday. Not with the person who's been doing it for 5 years. Not with someone who has a studio, gear, and experience. Compete with yesterday's you. And if today you dare just a little more than yesterday, you've already won. Because if you never push the boat into the water for fear it might sink, you'll stay at the dock forever. And the dock might feel safe, but it's lifeless. So launch it. Even if it has holes, you'll learn to row as you go. 8. You're in charge of your emotions. Imagine your emotions were phone notifications. Some are urgent, others aren't. Some buzz constantly just to get your attention, even when they have nothing important to tell you. But you decide. You choose which ones to open, which to leave on read, which to mute for a while. Now think, what if you treated your emotions the same way? What if, instead of reacting automatically to every impulse, you learned to manage what you feel like you were holding the remote control to your own mind? For years, my friend, I struggled to accept that idea. I remember a time when I couldn't bring myself to take the final exam I needed to get my degree. Every time I tried, anxiety consumed me. Literally. My stomach hurt. I couldn't breathe. I'd run out of the classroom before even stepping in. I tried multiple times, but emotions kept winning, again and again. Until finally, I asked for help. My therapist taught me something that changed my life. Act as if you've already made it. Visualize yourself the way you want to feel. As if you've already passed. As if you're calm, proud, happy. At first, it sounded like something off a cheesy motivational mug, but I gave it a shot. I pictured myself in the exam room, pen in hand, breathing calmly, walking out with a smile. Then I acted. I showed up to the exam, still afraid, but I walked in as if I had already succeeded. And it worked, not because the nerves disappeared, but because I stopped treating them like orders. The Stoics were crystal clear on this. Feeling isn't the problem. The problem is letting what you feel decide for you. They didn't suppress their emotions, they understood them, listened to them, but then made decisions from reason, not impulse. And that's something you can practice too. No need to be a philosopher or a monk. Picture this. You get called in for a job interview. You've sent your resume, you're genuinely interested in the position, you've researched the company, but when the day comes, the noise starts in your head. I'm probably not good enough. They'll see I don't have enough experience. What if they ask something I don't know? And instead of going, you send an email saying something's come up. But it wasn't traffic or an emergency. It was emotion, badly managed, disguised as a valid excuse. It was fear taking the wheel and you letting it drive without asking where it was going. Here's something that can change everything. Pause. Every time a strong emotion floods in, stop, literally. 3 seconds. Like a traffic rule, stop before crossing the drama line. That alone shifts your state, because between impulse and action, you can insert reason, and that gives you back control. Second step, create your crisis mode. What does that mean? Build a simple ritual that stops you from running on autopilot. It could be a playlist that grounds you, a basic breathing technique, a phrase you repeat like a mantra, something that anchors you when emotion tries to pull you away. The goal isn't to block what you feel, it's to redirect it. Third, visualize how you want to come out of the situation, not in a mystical way, concretely. Do you want to feel proud, calm, confident? Picture it as if it's already happened. Because when you act as if everything is going to turn out okay, your body and your mind start to align with that image. You're no longer reacting, you're leading. And next time something throws you off, paralyzes you, or tempts you to run, ask yourself this: who's in control right now? Because if you decide it's you, if you decide you're in charge, then emotions can keep talking, but you choose whether to listen or not. So I'll leave you with this, to really think about it. What if next time something pushes your buttons, you choose to believe that you hold the remote control of your mind? Because in the end, real power isn't about not feeling. It's about not letting what you feel rule you. 9. Every challenge is your mental gym. Imagine waking up one day in the middle of a military training field. You're not quite sure how you got there, but someone hands you a pair of boots, points to a course full of obstacles and says, "Go ahead, this is for you." Jumps, ropes, mud, uphill sprints. At first you think, what kind of punishment is this? But little by little, you realize it's not a punishment. It's a process. Every stretch you complete makes you stronger. Every fall teaches you something. Every aching muscle is a sign of growth. And then it clicks. That training ground isn't out there. It's inside your head. Every challenge you face isn't some random obstacle. It's a new weight on the bench press of your mind. And the harder it is, the more you're growing. If you think what you're going through is tough, let me tell you about someone who learned how to turn struggle into strength. David Aguilar was born without one arm. From a young age, he had to deal with awkward stares, jokes, uncomfortable moments. But instead of giving in, he decided to build. Using Lego pieces, he built his own prosthetic arm. Not once, but several times, improving it each time. Every new challenge was one more rep in his personal training. Every day he could have chosen to hide. He chose to show up more. Today, David gives motivational talks around the world. He's an engineer, and he's inspired thousands. And he did it because he understood what Seneca said centuries ago. Difficulties strengthen the mind, just as labor strengthens the body. It's not bad luck, it's personalized training. And when you start acting like someone in training, not someone being punished, everything begins to make sense. Let me tell you something you may not have thought about. Every challenge you're facing right now is a gym session you can't skip, but you can decide how you face it. Imagine messing up in public. Your mind fills with thoughts like, how embarrassing. I'm no good at this. Next time, I'll just stay quiet. But that's the automatic reaction, the one that builds nothing. The Stoic version of you would ask, what can I strengthen in myself with this? and would act like someone who already has that strength. You got left on read, something important got canceled, you're frustrated. What if that's not a sign of bad luck, but that you're working the exact muscle you struggle with the most? Here's a formula you can use every time life squeezes you a little. Difficult situation plus conscious attitude equals inner strength. For example, someone throws an unexpected criticism your way, and you choose to take it with humility. You've just gained strength. You're made to wait longer than expected, and you breathe instead of snapping. You're training patience. A plan doesn't go your way, but you adjust without falling apart. You're building flexibility. Every time something rattles you and you choose to respond instead of react, you grow stronger inside. That's the formula. And it works. You can also design your own mental gym routine 2.0. For example, patience routine with your noisy neighbor. 3 sets of deep breathing. 1 rep of not making a face when you run into them in the hallway. Ego tolerance routine for when your boss takes credit for your work. 2 minutes of inner silence. 1 rep of reminding yourself you're doing it for you, not for applause. Training like this doesn't just help you endure. It transforms you from within, because you don't need the challenges to disappear. You need to see yourself as someone who grows with every one of them. And when you act like you're already strong, like that weight is just part of the process, you start responding differently, moving lighter, realizing that everything, even the hard stuff, is shaping you. By now, you've probably figured something out. Acting like everything's going to work out isn't naivety. It's a bold decision. It's a way of living that forces you to keep going, even when nothing's clear. But one key piece is still missing. Because attitude means nothing if you can't turn it into action. And that's where most people fall short. So now comes the most important part. What separates those who just think differently from those who actually live differently. 10. Think less, do more. How many times have you felt like you're making progress just because you're thinking a lot about something? How many times have you planned every last detail and still done nothing? You've got ideas, motivation, even the will, but you don't move. And do you know what's worse? That many times you don't even start because you're already acting like it's going to fail. Like you're not capable. Like failure is inevitable. But what if, just once, you thought the other way around? What if you acted like everything was going to work out? Marcus Aurelius said it with brutal clarity. Don't waste time debating what a good man should be. Be one. And in today's terms, that means stop over-planning and start moving. Because if you spend your life fine-tuning the perfect plan, the world will pass you by with its imperfect but real versions. Want proof that this happens to you more than you think? Here you go. You want to start a YouTube channel, but you've been picking a name for 3 months. You want to learn a language, but you've spent 2 weeks comparing books and apps. You want to start journaling, but you still haven't found the perfect notebook. Spoiler, you don't need more options, you need action. Let me put it this way. Your mind without action is like having a fridge full of food and not cooking a thing. You're starving. You could eat a whale. You open the fridge and see it all. Eggs, veggies, bread, even some hidden chocolate. And still you close it saying, nah, maybe later. That's how you're living. Full of ideas, full of plans, but empty on results. Because thinking doesn't feed you. Doing does. And I get it, I've been there. There was a time when I spent more time watching productivity videos than actually being productive. I knew every method, from the simplest to the most complex. But I didn't apply a single one. I was trapped in the illusion of progress when in reality I was stuck. Until one day I gave myself a challenge. For 1 week, act without overthinking. No overanalyzing, just do. The result? I got more done in that week than in the whole previous month. I made mistakes, yes. But I learned more from those mistakes than from 1,000 hours of mental analysis. That's when I came across a quote from high-performance coach Ali Reda that hit me hard. Most people don't fail from lack of talent, but from excess doubt. If you act with fear, you're still acting. But if you don't act, you've already lost. That line woke me up. Because the truth is, people who make things happen don't do it because they're fearless. They just don't let fear make the decisions. So if you also want to stop overthinking and start acting like things are already working out, here are a few tips. First, use the 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it right now. Seriously, no thinking. Just do it. Second, set yourself up with dumb actions. That's right, things so small you can't not do them. 1 push-up, 1 email, 1 sentence written. Don't underestimate small things. Small starts to move big. And finally, create what I call an action button. Every time you hear yourself say, "I should do this," hit the button. Take a real step, even a tiny one. If you think, "I should train," put on your shoes. "I should write," open the doc. "I should clean this," throw out 1 paper. A body in motion convinces the mind that it's already started. Because in the end, you can read all the books, watch all the tutorials, make all the mind maps. But if you don't act, nothing happens, nothing changes, nothing gets done. So before you go, I want you to reflect on this. Are you thinking about your life or living it? Because you can have 1,000 plans, but only one gets fulfilled, the one you actually do. Acting like everything is always going to work out isn't some naive illusion. It's a powerful strategy. It's living from trust, not fear. From action, not hesitation. And when you choose to move with that mindset, everything changes. Not because the world becomes perfect, but because you learn to move with strength through the chaos. Because it's not about having all the answers. It's about moving forward as if you're already capable, until you are. If you've made it this far, write it in the comments as a commitment to yourself. I act like someone who's already creating their own luck. That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.